You know, it's a situation we're all been in. You find yourself trying harder and harder to get someone's attention, and the more you push, the more they just pull away. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, it turns out there's a deep psychological reason why our instincts to chase someone often blow up in our faces. So today, we're gonna break down that psychology and completely flip the script.
So let's get right into it with the one question that drives so many people crazy. You show more interest, you send more texts, you put in all this effort, and they just get colder. Why? Why does that happen? And you might think the answer is about playing games or being hard to get, but it's not. It's so much deeper than that. It's about understanding how human attraction is actually wired. And this quote, man, this gets right to the heart of everything. The goal isn't to be around all the time. It's to become unforgettable. It's about creating an impact that just lingers, long after you've left the room or put down your phone. Think about that for a second. It's not about being there constantly, but about making the time you are there really, really count. This is the big paradigm shift we're diving into.
Okay, let's jump into our first big idea, the chase paradox. And it really is a paradox because it feels completely backward, totally counterintuitive. But trust me, once you get your head around why trying harder is the very thing that can sink your chances, well, that's the key to flipping this whole thing around. It's a simple, kind of blunt rule, but it's true. See, when you chase, you're not just showing interest, you're screaming desperation. You're completely flipping the power dynamic. Instead of them feeling lucky to have your attention, they just see you as someone who is desperately seeking theirs. And that changes absolutely everything about how they perceive you. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. I mean, look at the difference here. The chaser on the left, they're all about seeking validation, constantly trying to prove their worth. But the attractor on the right, they're coming from a place of self-worth. Their value is just a given, not something they need to audition for. One mindset creates pressure and insecurity, while the other creates space and just radiates confidence. I mean, which one do you think is more attractive? It's a no-brainer. Then all that chasing leads to the state of what's called emotional oversupply. Think about it like this. If someone hands you free food every single day, you never really crave it. It's just there. But if that food suddenly got scarce, you'd start realizing how much you actually want it, right? Well, your attention works the exact same way. When you're too available, it just feels common, maybe even cheap. So, if that oversupply is the enemy, how do we fix it? Well, we start treating our attention like what it is, a valuable currency. Let's get into how you can actually manage it to increase its value. And this right here, this is a masterclass in strategy. Most of us think that constant communication is the key to connection. You know, the good morning texts, the check-ins all day, the good night messages. But in reality, all that constant noise can actually make you forgettable. Strategic silence, on the other hand, that creates a real impact. So let's just play this scenario out. You're texting someone and you can feel them pulling away. The replies get shorter, they take longer. The chaser's instinct is to panic and text more, right? To try and force a response out of them. But what if you did the exact opposite? What if you just stopped? All of a sudden, there's this silence, this vacuum where all your messages used to be. And that is so powerful because that's a space where their curiosity finally kicks in and they start wondering, wait a second, where did he go? So here's the bottom line. Start thinking of your attention as a resource. When you just hand it out freely with constant texts and calls and likes, it's like loose change. It's always available, it's not that special. But when you pull back, when you make it a little less common, it suddenly becomes rare. And human beings are just fundamentally wired to want what's rare. That's the switch you're flipping. And that idea of making your attention rare, it leads us right into our next big concept, mystery over disclosure. It's all about fighting that urge to just lay all your cards on the table at once. Because attraction, it needs a little bit of the unknown to really thrive. And honestly, being an open book can kill that spark before it even has a chance to catch fire. This is probably one of my favorite analogies for this. Don't be the book that reveals the entire plot in the first chapter. Be the movie trailer. A great trailer doesn't tell you everything, right? It shows you the most exciting, intriguing highlights, it builds anticipation, and it leaves you desperate to see the whole story. Oversharing just kills all the suspense and leaves absolutely nothing for their imagination to play with.
So you see what's happening here? When you hold back just a little bit, look at what you're creating. First, you create curiosity, which makes them think about you when you're not around.
That sparks their imagination, letting them fill in the blanks, and they usually fill them in with good stuff. All of this creates suspense and excitement, and the end result of how your perceived value just skyrockets.
All right, this next one is a huge one. It's a massive mindset shift. So many of us get caught in this trap of competing for someone's attention. The key, the absolute game changer, is to stop seeing yourself as a contestant and start acting like you are the prize. I want you to burn this rule into your brain. The moment you enter into a competition, trying to be funnier than someone else, or more available, or whatever, you have already lost, because you've implicitly communicated that they are the trophy, and you're just one of the many contenders fighting for it. You've placed them above you, and that is always, always a losing position. Real, genuine attraction isn't won by begging for a slice of someone's time. It's generated by being someone whose time is valuable to begin with. By focusing on your own life, your own goals, your own standards, you naturally create demand. You become someone whose attention is sought after, not someone who's constantly seeking it from others. And let's get one thing straight about confidence. This isn't about being arrogant or bragging about yourself. Not at all. True confidence is quiet. It's in your actions. It's making decisions without needing everyone's approval. It's having a life that doesn't revolve around getting a text back. It's the difference between someone who has to tell you they're interesting and someone who just is interesting because they're out there living an interesting life. That self-assured energy is absolutely magnetic. Okay, we've saved what might be the most powerful and honestly the most difficult principle for last. And this isn't some cheap tactic, it's a demonstration of ultimate self-respect. And it taps into one of the deepest drivers of human psychology. You know, it's just a weird quirk of our brains. Psychologists call it loss aversion. And basically they found that the pain of losing something is a way, way stronger motivator than the pleasure of gaining it. So when you make yourself a guarantee, someone who's always going to be there no matter what, you totally remove the risk of them losing you. And by doing that, you actually lower your own value in their eyes. And look, being willing to walk away isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about having standards. It communicates so powerfully that you respect yourself too much to chase someone who isn't valuing you. It shows you have a full life, that you have other options, and that your world is going to keep spinning with or without them. That is incredibly attractive. And this quote just ties everything we've talked about together, doesn't it? At the end of the day, people don't miss the person who is always there, always texting, always chasing. They miss the person who had the strength and the self-worth to create some space, to command respect, and to let their absence truly be felt. So, I'm gonna leave you with this one question to really think about. Based on your mindset, your behaviors, your actions, which role have you really been playing? Are you the chaser or are you the prize? Because making the conscious choice to embody the prize, that can change absolutely everything.